from Rochester, New York, it's time for the Brian Mendler Show. Introducing your host, fighting for kids everywhere, Brian, that one kid Mendler.
What is up, everybody? Brian Mendler back in your life on this Monday, January 20th, 2000. Oh, shit, I screwed that up. I think you're on the 13th.
I think so. Oh, this makes me feel better, though.
This conference will now be
January
recorded.
13th, right?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
That's what I told you. Okay, here we go. Start over. Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, we got this time. I promise we got this.
It's time for the Brian Mendler Show. Introducing your host, fighting for kids everywhere, Brian, that one kid Mendler.
What is up, everybody? Brian Mendler back in your life on this Monday, January 13th, 2020. And I am super excited today to be joined by my friend, Leah Kovacevich. That's how I say it, correct?
It's Kovacevich.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even close.
It's okay.
So what is it? Tell me what is that? What is that last name? Where is that? What's the origin?
Czech. So I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, I didn't even know how to pronounce it either. So yeah, so I go by Mrs. K with the kindergartners since nobody can really say my last name, not even some of my teammates or coworkers. So
I
yeah.
was so far off, wasn't even close. So, but you married into that name,
yes.
correct?
Yes,
All
and then my maiden name was Pillsbury. So to make it even worse, yeah.
So that was
the doughboy joke.
Yeah, but that's easier. That's like an easier one, at least, to say, right?
Yes.
That's insane. So is your husband from Czechoslovakia? Is he like right from there, his parents, or it's just that's just the name?
That's just the name.
Gotcha. What about you? So I know you're outside of Des Moines. Where are you from? Are you from Des Moines originally?
No, I'm originally from Sheraton, a small town in southern Iowa, home of Hy-Vee, which is the big grocery store. So, and then I went to Iowa State for college, got my early childhood degree with special ed, and then met my husband in Ankeny, and then we lived just outside of Ankeny in Elkhart, where he grew up. So, and then now, but I work in Johnston, and then my daughter, who's a kindergartner this year, she goes to the North Polk School District.
So we both have kindergartners. So I have a daughter who's a kindergartner. You have a daughter who's a kindergartner, and you're a kindergarten teacher. In fact, I was a little late getting on here because I don't know how your kids are, but it's like trying to get them ready to do anything. It's just unbelievable. Like in school, the teacher asks them to do something, done, no problem, right? At home, it's like my son has a music instrument lesson this morning, a violin lesson, and my daughter has to go with him because I'm recording this with you. And literally, like, I mean, we are up there, and my wife looks at me and she's like, you're supposed to know what to do with these kids. And I'm like, yeah, that's everybody else's kid, not mine. Like, mine is not easy. Do you find that you have two kids, right?
Yes. And they're actually, what's cool is Will just turned 5 January 5th. So for the month of January, they're both 5. So Ellie and Will. So they are 11 months apart. So it's they're best friends. So it's awesome. But they like just this morning before I came, they were arguing and and sometimes my patience, being a kindergarten teacher, I do it fine at school, but then I come home and the poor family gets the best of me.
Do you find it tough to be a kindergarten mom and a kindergarten teacher? Like, are you critical? Are you looking out for like what they're doing and kind of comparing yourself to what they're doing at all? Like, do you find yourself do that?
I'm trying really not to, because it's been fun. I just keep trying to remind myself that I'm the parent with Ellie, not the teacher, and going in and just trying to look at it through that lens. But it has helped me with my teaching in my room because I realize I've always known that they're so tired and worn out and we push, but just having one at home now, I just see, and she's such a little rule follower and um, she loves school, which is great. But it just makes me, I guess, realize how important we are as kindergarten teachers. I mean, we're their first experience in the school. So it's such an impactful year for them. And we need to make sure that we're making, like, my biggest goal for kindergartners and for my daughter is just to love school and to make friends too.
I love that goal. I've said that my whole life for both of my kids. All I care about is that just get them to love school. If you can get them to love school, I'm cool with what kind of like whatever you do there. As long as, I mean, I guess I don't want you to give them like pizza and cotton candy the whole time, but you know what I'm saying? But get them to love it overall. Like that's always the goal. Did you always want to be a kindergarten teacher?
Yes, I did. My parents always joked with me because they were like, you were so easy because you just always knew what you wanted to be. Yes, it was always a dream of mine as a little girl to be a kindergarten teacher. And I had my stuffed animals all out, teaching them. And it's funny because when I get home every night, my daughter's doing the same thing and has all of her stuff out for the kids for her little classroom too. But yeah. I first started actually with Johnston. I did taught preschool for 3 years and then moved into kindergarten. So This is my 13th year of teaching.
I always say that kindergarten teachers are just a special breed of human being. I mean, you guys are not like regular people, and I mean that in the nicest way. But I mean, just the willingness to like have kids hug you and leave snot trails across your stomach and like get sick all the time. Do you ever get sick, or are you kind of immune from it now?
We do.
My daughter's teacher seems to always be there. Knock on wood. I should knock on wood right now. But it's like she's always there, and I'm like, man, she's got all these little kids just all over her, and they're hugging her, and like, you know, just all sorts of love all the time from you guys.
Oh yes, we joke about spraying Lysol on us, and yes, and they're always picking their nose, and you just never know what they're doing, and yeah, I make them wash their hands all the time. Everyone would know that and with my hand sanitizer, I have it all over the room for them and for the adults, because adults come in and they know how germy the kindergartners are.
I know. Well, it's really schools. And I always joke with people that I live my life in like the most dirty places there are, because I'm always in airports, hotels, and schools, right? Like the three most grimy places that you could possibly imagine. So I'm constant with the hand washing nonstop. So you're in Iowa, your population, how many kids do you have about in your class normally?
We have 24. I currently have 22. And then we have 4 sections of kindergarten here at my school. Last year we had 5, so it just fluctuates each year. We're about between 650 to 700 students at my school, and we keep growing, which is a good thing, job security.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that I love about my daughter's class is that they have a pretty like legit good routine that the kids follow when they come in the morning. And I think that's really helpful in general. Do you have a routine? And if so, I'm just curious, like, what is your routine? What do they do when they come in? Like, how do you get through a day in kindergarten?
Oh, yes. Oh, kindergarten is all about routines. As we joke, if you can get through the first 6 weeks, just like having a baby, the first 6 weeks of a newborn, it's about the same, because it's crazy how you have to teach how to use a pencil and an eraser and taking the lid off a glue stick. But yes, my day, this year is my first year of trying soft start. So that's where they come in and they each have a tub at their table, and it's just like it can be puzzles. A tub is coloring books, Legos, Play-Doh, just something that eases them into their day, because I used to do morning work for them, and I know with having some challenging kids in my classroom that would set them off, and then now looking back, I'm like, I wouldn't want to start my day right away coming in and getting right to work. I mean, we sit and talk to our coworkers and teammates. So it's kind of like that with my classroom, and they love it because they walk in, they put their backpack away, put their folder in the basket, make their lunch choice, and they're excited, and they get that all done quickly because they want to get to their table to start their soft start. So
how many kids are at a table? How many kids?
There's 3 to 4 kids, 4 at the max, because I have 6 tables. So, and we do a 6-day cycle, so it works out perfect because then we just rotate those tubs for those 6 days, and then I just put new ones. But I mean, all year I've had the Legos because I asked them to help me out with what they like, and they love the Play-Doh and the puzzles, and it helps them work together too, which is a huge goal in kindergarten, is always that learning to work together, take turns, share, and then also they're communicating and having those social skills in the morning too. So it's just meeting so many different needs, but also helping them start their morning off in a relaxing way.
I love that. And yeah, you mentioned morning work. And so what was the difference? So when you say morning work, what were you doing? And when you say it set certain kids off, so if I'm a teacher and I'm listening to this and I'm brand new and I'm like, oh, I do morning work, like what do I have to look out for?
It was just more of a worksheet. And then I thought at the time, and I mean, nothing against anybody who does that. I've just simply learned through this, is that I thought, oh, we need to work on this snap word, or we need to work on syllables, or any skill. So I would get a worksheet and put it out for them to get to work on, because in kindergarten we always have to be doing something or it just goes disaster. So to get all of our things done in the morning, we have to make sure that they're doing something. So I thought, oh, we can do that worksheet. But some of my challenging kids, that was not the way that they wanted to start their morning, or it was frustrating to them or difficult. So they immediately would just get upset, and then their day went off of that. And looking back, I take ownership for that, and I've changed it and learned from that. So, and I think this year I've just noticed a difference with kids, and it doesn't seem to ever be a problem in the morning with that because of the soft start.
It's amazing how frustration can lead to so many problems throughout the day. Like just a kid not getting something, and it could be a little thing, and it's any grade level. I don't care what grade level you teach. I see that in high school all the time, where a kid would look at number 1 on a test and they would start to get anxiety because they didn't know it, and then they look at number 2 and they'd be like, oh man, I don't know number 2 either, and next thing you know, they're crumpling up the piece of paper and throwing it against the wall and saying, F this, I don't care, and they put their head down, and they really did care, though, is what I found. Like, they actually cared, but they didn't know how to handle that frustration and that annoyance that so many kids go through in those moments. So you call it a soft start because you're technically not like doing academic-y type work, although even though you kind of could be, right? I mean, Legos out, you can be like, there's 3 Legos over here and 4 over there. How many do we have now, right? So you can kind of almost turn anything into a lesson. Do you find yourself doing that?
Oh, yes. I mean, just recently in November, I did it with there was turkeys in the Play-Doh, and they had to make there was a number on the turkey, and they had to make that many feathers on it. Or really, what we've noticed is the fine motor skills too. So I have where a lot of tracing their peers' names, learning their classmates' names and practicing that, or letter writing. And you can, and I sometimes throw in 1 or 2 that are a little bit more academic, but it's still, they don't realize it. It's still, I guess, fun, engaging to them.
That's the key. The key is to throw academics. It's kind of like vegetables. Just throw them in somewhere with it. You know what I mean? Like smother it with hot sauce or something. Like I can eat spinach and I can eat like arugula and all that, but it has to be like on a pizza with crushed red pepper all over it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yes.
That's the best sort of mindset with academics. It's like,
I just saw that on one of your posts about the dipping, and I thought of my son, because anything with ranch, I'm like, as long as you eat it, that's fine. I'll give you ranch to dip
so he'll put anything into ranch.
Yes.
So you can get like broccoli and ranch and
pineapple ranch. But yeah.
Is one of your kids a better eater than the other kid?
I am so lucky. I don't know what we did, but they are both very good eaters. They both eat their fruits and vegetables. We joke with my son that he's a vegetarian sometimes because he goes after his fruits and vegetables first. And I know, I don't know what we did. So we're just lucky. I just know how lucky we are because I hear so many parents that struggle with that.
Oh, well, my son is a terrible eater. My daughter is an amazing eater, right? My kids could not be more different. I have two children that are, I mean, and it's they're definitely both mine because like my son looks exactly like me, but he acts and behaves and he's a lot like my wife personality wise. And vice versa. My daughter looks just like my wife, but personality wise, she's exactly like me. And so what I love to eat, like I love to go out to eat. I love to try. It's one of my favorite things about traveling so much is I get to experience food in all the different parts of the country. And like, I always, when I go to a school, I'm like, bring in your best food. Like, don't be bringing me Subway or any of that. Like I can get that everywhere, like, what do you have that's good and local? And, it's always good, but my son it's like five things, silly, but it's really our fault. Like, I say like my son's a bad eater, but of course, right? I mean, I cave all the time and I'm like, well, you're going to eat this. And he's like, I don't like that. Can I just have mac and cheese? And like every part of my body knows to say no. And I'm like, sure, why not?
Right. But it's easier.
My daughter just had so her birthday just passed and I love what her teacher does. I don't know what you do special for birthdays, but my daughter, she got to be the student of the day. So they have every day at their school, they have a different kid who's student of the day. And like that student has to bring in snack. And then they're like, so the parents bring in snack for the class that day. And then they get to be like the special everything, right? Like they're like the line leader and they do this thing where they do trips around the sun. So they have like this sun in the middle of their room, like a fake sun, obviously. And the kid whose birthday it is gets to walk around the sun as many times as their birthday is, which I feel like is pretty cool. Anything like that? What do they get to do for birthdays?
We have actually brought it down a little bit because we're trying to get them to eat healthier. So we don't bring in treats and all of that. So we do a community meeting, which is kind of cool. For every grade level does a community meeting in the morning or whenever. It can be actually whenever it works in their schedule to do it. And so that grade level, so all kindergarten goes out into our community and we do a song that goes with a skill that we're working on. Jack Hartman is a huge person that we listen to for songs. And then that's where we celebrate birthdays and they get a birthday pin and a birthday crown. And then lots of the times in our classroom, they're the leader. And it's just, for kindergartners, they're just excited because everyone knows it's their birthday and everyone says hi to them. And so that's what I love about kindergarten is just their excitement, and they just find joy in everything, I feel.
They do. I mean, I say it all the time. Like, I've never met a 5-year-old who comes to school miserable. And somewhere along the line, we knock that out of a lot of kids. We knock the enthusiasm and the excitement out of the kid, which they start out with it. And then it's gone by like grade 2 or grade 3. And, a lot of times it's the testing and all the pressure that we put on them. So how long does your soft start last in the morning?
It lasts about 10, well, we do it about 10 minutes and then we go out for community meeting and then we do it for about 5 minutes so I can get when we come back so I can do attendance and get all of that done. And then they pick up and I have table leaders that put those away. And then we do a song at the rug and then I always do a grateful circle with the kids to start the day off, that we go around and say something that they're happy for. So that's so cute to hear.
What's a song? Can you give me a song? Will you do one?
Rise and Shine.
Do it. Let's hear it. Come on, please.
It's Dr. Jean. So rise and shine. We're happy you're here today. So I'm not going to sing.
Come on, please sing it. Come on, I want to hear it. Pretend I'm a kindergartner right now. Come on.
I honestly cannot think of it. You've made me forget it.
I'm sorry. All right. If you think of it at any point during this, all right, you have.
Nobody wants. My mom always told me I was a horrible singer, so I only do it with my kindergartners.
I love songs, though. I'm a huge fan of songs that teach, and like however you can, In a cell, there is so much stuff. Cytoplasm, cell membrane, and a nucleus. In a cell, the nucleus is in control, and outside the cell membrane, the cytoplasm holds. That was a great chemistry one, but
Wow.
yeah, I have so many, right? Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Take the sign of the highest number, then you'll be exact. Or same sign, multiply, positive all the time. Different signs make negatives every single time. Rules of division are same as multiply. Now you are an integer whiz. Let's give it a try. I used to literally, there was a point where I had like probably 50 songs. And
That's awesome.
have you heard of havefunteaching.com?
Mm-mm.
That's a great website. So havefunteaching.com has all sorts of songs.
Okay.
They've got letter songs and number songs and a million different songs that you can do. Okay, so you go to the carpet and you do your grateful circle. I want to hear about that. So how does that work?
So I started off and say just one thing that I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful for the sunshine. And then we pass it on. We have a little mascot, Mabel, and they love her. And so they are very gentle with her and pass her along. And every person goes. I have some of, in the past years, the challenging students, I would say, struggle with this, but I always try to have them try to think of one thing that they could be happy about. So after the grateful circle, I just like to do that because it gets our day started in a positive way. And then something that I've just added this year because of your dear friend Lindsay Titus is we do celebrations for the during the day. So I started off with we start with one or two celebrations, and we do it for anything that we've done so far. So it's so sweet to hear what they're excited or proud of. So they love our math tubs or I'm on there a lot, which makes me feel good because sometimes I feel like a grump with them, but Mrs. K or saying kind words or those type of things. And we do that all day. And at the end of the day, we go before they leave, we read our celebrations just to show that, wow, we've had a lot of success today and to celebrate those little things. And that helps me too, as a teacher, realize, wow, even if I did have some hard moments, that there's those little, to focus on those little celebrations, because that's what moves you forward.
I love it. And you probably hear so much from kids that you don't know, or like things that,
Yes.
things they're doing in their life that you're like, oh, I didn't know you were a dancer, or oh, I didn't know you did this or that, and
Yes.
which is another avenue into relationship building, right? So then all of a sudden you're like, oh, cool. And it just is another way to connect.
Yes. Yes. Big on connection, and definitely seeing the kids coming into kindergarten. So many of them want that connection and they just want you to listen to them and to talk to them. So they love any time that we just get together and talk. And I've been doing that even more too with them raising their hand and just, we have so much curriculum content to teach, but just taking that time to let them speak and get it out, because to them, 5.5 and 6-year-olds think, what they have to say, it is important, and they just want to share as much as they can and for someone to listen to them.
Yes, I love the concept of listening. And, I talk about in my workshop listening sometimes with no expectations. A lot of times in education, we are told to constantly have high expectations and have more expectations and get the kid to do more and be better. And sometimes I think you can listen with no expectation, where you just hang out and chill. And, whatever you get from the kid, you're grateful for, which, to me is the way to go. So you said 13 years, and in 13 years, you probably had some challenging students. Do you have one that jumps out at you, or a couple of difficult behaviors that you've seen in your career?
Yes. One particular one that I can think of is the first day of school. And it was actually the first year that my current principal that I have now, it was her first year. So the first day of school, this little boy hit me and pushed me. And I was like, oh, he's just having maybe a rough day. It's the first day of school. But then the next day we had to do a room clear and just threw things in the classroom. And so I knew it was a lot more than that. So I got to spend the first 6 weeks with my new principal in my classroom a lot. So we I feel like have always been close after that because of getting to know each other and seeing me, because that was honestly the most difficult child I had in
So
my
what?
career.
So tell me a little bit about that kid. So he would come in and just literally hit you,
Yes.
like push you. Did he hit other kids as well?
He didn't really go after peers as much. He also was a biter, so he bit me quite a bit. And then also he liked to wear cowboy boots and kick us, and those so we try to immediately get the boots off, just so. And we always knew it was kind of a joke, like, oh no, he's got the cowboy boots on, beware today. So it just broke my heart though, because this little boy was almost, I mean, it was in crisis, and I just knew that was the start of actually following you, Brian, and starting to use your strategies and everything, was because my principal told me, like, hey, why don't you try 2 by 10 strategy and those, and start looking into this. And luckily, we got this little boy support and he got on a behavior plan, but unfortunately he moved away right after he got on it. So I still I hope he's doing well, but what I feel good about is that he left us with a behavior plan, so that would follow him at least. But yeah, he helped me be a better teacher. And then I feel like ever since then, I kind of always joke that the it's kind of roll of the dice with kindergartners. You just never know what you're going to get, but sometimes I feel like they seem to find my room. The challenging kids do, but they've made me a better teacher, and I always try to think they're in my God gave me them for a reason, and it's really pushed me and changed me. I feel like I've grown more than I've ever grown. I'm such a different teacher than I was 5 years ago, but I'm better, and I'm a better parent, and just more understanding. And yes, that's where I started, I guess, using all of your strategies, because I've always been a huge fan of yours.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and vice versa. I mean, anybody who's willing to go in and get bit by a kid and put up with it and continue to come back every day. And it's the saddest part of that whole story for me is what you said at the end, which is that he shortly after moved away. And that's sad because that's so common. It's so common for kids, and I feel like for a lot of kids that's the root of their misbehavior. The root of their misbehavior is, I'm at this new school, no one really is going to be here very long. I'm going to get pulled away. I'm going to get yanked away. And so let me be rude. Let me disrupt. Here are the adults trying to help me and trying to make my life better. But if I get close to them, I know I'm going to leave, and that's going to be ripped away from me. And so it's easier to not get close than it is to get close and then get pulled away. And it's a classic example of that. What did you, I'm just curious about this in general, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but how do you handle the biting? Like, what do you do in that moment when it's happening? And like, what kind of precautions can you take? Were you looking for like signs or I'm not signs, but like patterns, like it happens more during this or during that or during,
I will be honest, when you see a kid going after you, you have to be careful because you have instincts. But that was my first experience with a biter, and it would just honestly, I didn't know when it was going to happen. He always did go for the arm, and he'd hold on, but then he'd realize and he'd move on, and then that's when he'd go and try to hurt more or go and throw things. He loved to get my like, I have a little container of paper clips, and this student would love to throw those all over the room. And two, it made me sad because I had pictures of my kids up, and it was almost like he didn't want those pictures up because he would throw those picture frames. And also the scissors were a little bit of a threat, so I had to, like, we couldn't have the scissors in tubs, they had to be on my desk. It was just a kind of an unsure. You just never knew what was going to happen. And that's the hardest, because you are, Brian, always looking for a pattern if it happens at a certain time of the day. And those are a little bit easier to understand because you can predict it. But when you have no idea the pattern, It's just hoping that you don't set them off, or is this going to set them off? Because you just never know. And what I love though, and I've taken from all of this experience, is every day is a new day. Like, don't bring that what happened yesterday back in and put it in their face. Or if I made a mistake or did something wrong, keep that in yesterday. Don't bring it into today.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes with little kids, it's got to be like not just today or tomorrow, but a new 20 minutes or like a
Yes.
new 5 minutes. It's hard though, man. It is not easy to. It's so much for me. That's so much easier said than done. Same as a parent. It's easier to say, oh yeah, I should stay calm, or I shouldn't get frustrated, or second to last word, right? Don't argue back. And then when I'm in the situation, it's like, literally again, I'm like, that was for everybody else, not me. I mean, that's
right.
it's just not an easy thing to do.
That is one of my favorites of yours, is the second to last word. And my teammate and I joke about it because we love it. We just say thank you and smile and walk away. And they keep on talking. And I find it easier to do at school than at home, because my daughter likes to, it's like she knows when I've had a hard day sometimes. And then I think, oh, stop. I'm in a power struggle. Stop it.
Or how about with a spouse? Like,
oh,
that's
yes.
the hardest. The hardest is with a spouse. Because it's the best. It works the best with a spouse, but it's the hardest to do with a spouse, I've found. So you said you started kind of following what I do around that time. And you mentioned 2x10. So for people who don't know what 2x10 is, can you explain it, or do you want me to explain it?
Well, it's you meet with as you pick a student to do, and you meet with them for 2 minutes every day for 10 days. And at first you think, oh my goodness, 2 minutes, but you really can find that 2 minutes just to talk to them. And one thing that I've learned through the years of using that is, well, what if they don't sit and say anything? And that's where I've learned, you just keep talking and you just say, and then they think, oh, she's going to just keep on talking to me. Maybe I should start talking to her because she's not going away.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? I've noticed it does make a difference. Those more, they just want your attention. They just want that connection with you. And it's hard because there's so many different needs in kindergarten. You're pulled in so many different directions. And it's hard to give that one-on-one all the time. So that's when I couldn't do this job without my associates at all in my classroom. They are absolutely amazing because they're there to help give additional love and support to those kids too.
No question. And just for everybody, just to sum it up, the 2x10, it's basically the way I view it is and it can be used in other ways, but it's a relationship building strategy for kids who do nothing. So kids who kind of come in, put their heads down, roll their eyes. They're not aggressive. Usually these kids are not violent, but they're just apathetic. They just don't care. And usually what I've found happens in school when the kid has their head down for a long period of time is the teacher walks over and they're like, pick your head up, pick your head up, pick your head up. Do you need to go to the nurse's office? Is that where you need to go? And it's not like any type of connection. It's just like, I'm the boss and you're the kid and you're going to do what I say. And so the 2x10, the 2 stands for 2 uninterrupted moments, 10 stands for 10 consecutive days. And basically what you're doing is you're just getting down to the kid's level and you're talking to them. You're saying, hey, it looks like you're tired. Are you? And if they don't respond, which often they won't, they'll grunt or they'll snort or they'll look in the other direction. You can just respond by saying, well, because I get paid to be here and I'm tired half the time too. Like, and so you're kind of answering your own question or your own statement. But the goal is to do it by putting yourself on the same team as a kid. It's really hard to coach someone, so to speak, when they don't believe you want to win as bad as they do. Like, you have to see the coach as a teammate before you're going to see the coach as a coach. And so a lot of times that's kind of where teachers miss. When I look at what's going wrong, it's that, and I'll say this, like, the kid doesn't see you as a teammate. He thinks you care more about what you're trying to teach him than you care about him. And it has to be the opposite. He has to know for sure, without question, that you care more about him than about anything you're trying to teach him. And so doing this strategy does that. And the good news about the strategy, you said it, is if a kid doesn't respond, it's fine, because the definition of the word relationship is I learn about you and you learn about me. It's both. And I feel like in a lot of classrooms, and I don't think this is the case in kindergarten as much or in the younger grades, but as you get older, for sure, the mindset isn't both ways. It's, okay, I'm the teacher, you're going to tell me about you, but I'm not going to give anything back. And that doesn't work in a relationship. A relationship has to go both ways. And so it's the perfect, you can say to kids, so what movies do you like to watch? And when they don't answer, well, because let me tell you which movies I like to watch. Because let me tell you what sports I play. Because let me tell you what video games were my favorite when I was a kid. Like, you can connect in so many different ways when you do this. It's such a powerful strategy. To be clear, you say it's mine. I didn't invent it. Like,
Oh, you didn't?
No, I don't think so. So everyone likes to give me credit for everything, but I'd say probably 90% of the stuff that I teach is stolen. Like, I get paid money now in my life to do the two things that I always got in trouble for as a kid: copying and stealing. I copy what really great teachers do, and I steal their ideas. And I try to give people credit when I can, but sometimes you forget, or sometimes something's just out there and it's floating out there and you just pick it up. But 90% of the stuff that I teach you guys when I'm at a workshop it's coming from somewhere else. It's the only thing that makes me so good, like effective, so to speak, is the amount of schools that I get to visit. Like, I was in 129 different schools this year. So imagine, like, you're in one classroom all day. I was in 129 different schools. Now, there's benefits to being in one classroom, but one of the things that's not good about that is how many different perspectives do you get, right? You get your perspective in your class. And Lindsay and I were talking about this when we recorded our Best Of podcast. She was saying her favorite thing about my podcast in general is that she gets to hear and see about all the different kinds of schools that exist. And she's like, I work in one place all day, and you're in all these different, she's like, you're at a Spanish immersion school, and then you're at this place and you're at that place. And it's taking from what they do. It's taking really the best of what everybody does and kind of combining that all and basically being able to say, well, let me tell you what this person did when this person was getting spit on. Okay, let me tell you what this one did and that's really kind of my whole thing, so
it's great to hear. It's great to hear just other teachers and other people all over the United States talking, because then you can relate to each other and collaborate just by listening to the podcast and say, oh, this is what they did. Why not try it?
It's the best. I know. I love it. I love doing this. It's my favorite thing that I do, and I don't get paid for it. Which is weird, because you would think, professionally, what you would like to do, you get paid for. But this is my favorite, because I love getting to know you guys and getting to spend, like, most of the people that I bring on are people that I've met at workshops that have come up to me kind of like you, where the first time I met you, I was about to do a presentation. That was a great story. So I'll tell everybody.
Oh, yes.
So I was, and I forgot who it was. It was your principal, right?
It was Joy. It was our head person of the social, emotional, and behavior director, and it was my assistant principal with me. Yes.
Yeah. And they were like, you have to meet Leah. You have to meet this girl, Leah. She's your biggest fan. You have to meet her. And I was like, okay, I'll meet her. And then you came over before. It was cool. And then we started talking, and I was like, you got to come on. And then we had the ride to the airport. Remember that?
And I honestly thought you were joking. I was like, oh, I just said yes to him doing a podcast. And then you kept bringing it up, and I thought, oh my goodness, he's for real.
I never go back on my word. It's kind of the only thing you have in life. And when you talk but I find everybody interesting. Like, I find everybody. What kind of struggles have you had in your life? What kind of obstacles have you had to overcome to be successful in your life and to live a happy life?
Well, a big thing that I will talk about, since it's a big part of your life, is your sobriety. And my dad has been, he is a recovering alcoholic for 32 years. He stopped when I was 3 years old on July 4th, which I always find that you guys pick unique dates to start your sobriety. But I can relate to everything that you say to your sobriety, because my dad, he still continues to live it every day. And he listens to your podcast now, because he thinks you're amazing and the way that you live your life. And he hears all of the everything that you guys live by with sobriety through this. And it does truly work in every aspect of your life. And it's taught me a lot, and I'm just blessed because he will be able to talk to my kids about it and help them through all of those obstacles too, if they get into those. Because when I was a kid, he would go in and talk to the schools and all of the kids would come up, and it was embarrassing back then, but now I realize it was such a great thing for him to do, and I wish he could get back into the schools, especially now with the mental health and everything. I think he could really connect with kids with
Why
that.
was it embarrassing? Do you remember why?
Well, it was just to admit when I was in high school and middle school that my dad was a recovering alcoholic, and he had his fun with the drugs too back in the day, and just nobody wants to talk about that stuff or really admit that that is part of your life. So, and then the kids, the kids that were the drug kids at school would come up and say, "Oh, your dad's so cool," and then my dad would have them over and talking to him, and I was just like, "Oh no, Dad." But I realized he was truly helping them, and we had kids. I mean, I'm an only child, but we had especially 2 kids stay at our house a lot when their parents would, because my dad was a sponsor, so he would help those families, and then when the families were struggling, we'd take their child in to help. So yeah, and I just remember like I'd get my food, like my box, like being the only child, having one of the kids that always stayed with us, would eat all of the cereal, and I'd get up and be like, "There's no," and they'd be like, "Leah, just deal with it. He needed it more than you did." I'm like, "Oh," so I had to share everything with everybody,
So
and
you're
kind
an
of got
only
the last
child who
of
has to
everything. Yeah.
Like, most only children don't have to share.
I share.
Unless they're
Yeah.
forced.
It was more like, no, forget about Leah. Let's focus on these guys. But I get it. I mean, they needed it, and I think it's made me who I am too. So.
Do you know, and again, you might have no idea about this, but do you know a lot of times for addicts, there's a sort of a final straw that gets them to get healthy or to go into recovery. Do you know what that was for your dad?
Yes, we've talked about it a lot. My mom and I would leave a lot to go to either my grandma, her mom's house, or we'd go to Florida, which was my dad's mom, and that was my mom told us, like, if you don't quit, I'm taking Liam. You're not gonna see us again, because it just got so bad. And it made him realize he needed to stop so he could be my dad, and he admits if he wouldn't have stopped, he would not be alive now. So
Wow.
yeah. So I'm very thankful for that, and it's been something that him and I have always been open and honest about. It took me a while to I guess talk with him about it, but I'm happy that we are open about it, and I understand. I don't really have that many memories of it, which I'm thankful for and my dad's thankful that he stopped early enough.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most thankful thing for me is that my children have no idea what I was. I mean, I'm on Monday, so there you go. We're recording this multiple weeks before this airs, but on December 23rd for me that's my anniversary every year. So it's 18 years for me, and
That's
so my
awesome.
my kids are 7 and 5, and so they'll never know. And when I go to recovery meetings and I hear people talk, that's definitely the biggest thing that people talk about. Like, people talk about losing money and not having things in their life, but mostly what people talk about is the destruction that they cause their family, and that they can't get that back. You can't get being a parent back. You get one chance to go through it with your kid at each age level. And I think for me, it's definitely the thing that keeps me going. I mean, there's multiple things. Obviously, I love my life and I love being in recovery, but the thing that keeps me going the most is like when my daughter will say, "Daddy, go to your meeting. Like, you're not allowed to be home on Monday nights." And she knows, like, my family knows Monday nights is my night, and it's, nothing's allowed to get in the way of that. And what's great about the world now too is there's everything. I mean, there's ways to get to meetings all the time. There's Skype, there's online meetings. There's really no excuse anymore. The only excuse is that you want to make excuses. And for recovery, you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what you have to be. But so many things I learned. It's I say in my workshops when I talk about the addiction, I say, most people can relate, because addiction lives for most people in the first ring around your family. You've either had it yourself or somebody very close to you has. it seems like you're kind of lucky. He didn't pass that to you? Because a lot of times, and I don't mean that negatively,
Yes.
but I mean, a lot of times we pass personality traits, and, I have an addictive personality. That's just what I have. And it's without question, what made me an addict has also made me successful professionally, because I'm obsessive. And when I get into something, I don't do it a little bit, like I do it a lot. And it's whether that's good or bad. And I think if you could put those traits towards something positive in your life, you can live a really great life. But do you not have that, or do you have that, but you've just put it in positive things?
I have that persistent drive. But I think my dad's always talked to me about it. My husband has actually been the one to bring it up when we've been out at bars. I'm just hyper aware of people who are, and I think since having kids, there are little triggers that my dad said you probably don't even know that are from when you were younger that come out, that I just, like, loud noises sometimes bother me that I don't even realize. But I'm just more aware of it. But I think it's because we talked about it so much, that I haven't, luckily. I mean, and as I tell my dad, I could always still go down. I mean, my dad always still tells me that you could always still go down that road.
No
You're
question.
not free of that. But I think it's just that we've talked about it most of my life. So I'm just very aware that it could become a problem.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that it also makes you a better teacher, because you're just always aware of it with your students. You're always, when the kid's misbehaving or there's something inappropriate going on, it's probably a lot in your instinct to look at that home life and what's going on. Have you had any of those home lives where it's just been like, any parents where you're just like, whoa, I met the parent and I realized that's where the kid comes from?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. And definitely just that you realize that there's so much outside of school that you can't control, so you can only do what you can at school. And I've had to really change my mindset. And again, thank you to Lindsay Titus for introducing me to her, because I've just changed. I used to be such a fix it. I mean, that's natural for teachers, just to want to fix everything. But we can't fix these kids with what they've been through, the trauma or what they're going through at home. And all we can do is support them and love them. I mean, that's my big thing, is just love on them, because that's what they need. And I know that all parents are trying to do the best that they can with what they know. And we just have to try to respect that and just do the best I can at school with those students and those needs.
Do me a favor and take your microphone cord and just push it back in. It might be the part that's plugging into your computer, because it's your last. That was amazing what you said, but did you hear that, how it sounded? It was a little tinny in there. Okay, so that's okay.
Now?
Yeah, that's fine. So
now I can't. Did I turn you off?
I don't know. I can still hear you fine. You sound good to me.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? It's like the Verizon commercial.
I know it.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I don't hear you through the headphones, though. I hear you through the.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, you were hearing me through the headphones and now you're not?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll do one last question. One last question that I want to know, and it's just along those lines. Parents. So, parent night. I get a lot of questions about parent night. Do you have a parent night? And at parent night, you don't have a parent night. So what's your best communication with parents? How do you recommend people doing it? What do you do?
I email or do phone calls a lot. I will admit I probably over communicate with parents, but I don't want any surprises. My principal and assistant principal are big with us, of when it comes to conferences. That shouldn't be the night that we tell parents our concerns. We should be communicating to them. So I email a lot, and that seems to be the best way to communicate, especially in today's world, with them. And that seems to work well. Or give phone calls. We're trying to do more phone calls to happy celebration. So when a parent picks up the phone, they don't think, oh no, what did my kid do today? Type thing. It's more of a happy.
Have you ever had a kid who's in foster care or living in any kind of group home or anything like that? Or have you mostly had like at least one parent in the home?
I've always usually had one parent. I have had a student that was raised by grandma.
What
So
had happened to his parents? Do you know, or her?
she left him with the grandma, and the crazy thing is that was her stepdaughter, so it wasn't even the grandma's biological daughter. So and she
Wow.
took on the two kids, and they're doing amazing now because of they're just and that he's in 8th grade now, I think. I could be, or a freshman. So he still holds a special place in my heart.
That's so awesome. Wow. I mean, I can't even imagine, right? Can you imagine? I mean, you have a kid and you just decide, I'm good. I don't want him anymore. Let me just dump him somewhere, and and like
I
it's
can't
just
imagine.
some kids just get dealt the worst deck in life. But the good news about life is you can either use that to make yourself better and stronger, or you can use it as an excuse to bring you down. And excuses are real. They're everywhere and we all have them, but some people use them to go to really high places in life, and other people use them to bring them down. Listen, I appreciate you so much. So can you hang out and do one thing for Mendler U? So we for people who don't know, we have this paid subscription service. It's $5 a month, and I like to do questions on there. So I'm going to read this question. We actually talked about this question a little bit,
Yes.
so you've had a little bit of time. But so I'm going to read it for everybody, and then we're going to stop this, and then we'll do one more recording. We'll do it over there. It's you good with that?
Yes.
So cool. So it says, I have a question. I work in elementary self-contained behavior unit. So, it's tough. That's a tough one right away. Let's just say that right off the bat. I don't know if there's a harder job in all of education. So you can say I have challenging kids and behaviors, but I love all of it. One behavior that I'm having a hardest time with is a kid who's having a really difficult time accepting the answer no, and having to do a task he doesn't want to do, even if it's the simplest task. I have a good, close relationship with this kid and have known him for more than a year now. He cries, yells, and gets mad, but then chills out and does the task. The issues always happen at the same times of the day. That's good. I've ruled out many different factors and nothing is working very much. Thanks in your advance. I'm curious to know what you think. So we're going to stop this. If anyone wants to answer to that or wants to hear us talk about it, they can join us over there. These hours go quick, don't they?
They so quick.
I know. Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh my goodness, this was such an honor, Brian, and a dream come true. I never thought I'd be on this with you, and I thank you so much.
Well, I thank you. Really, thank you for doing what you do for those kids every single day. You guys, like I said earlier, kindergarten people are just special people, and especially now for me right now, having two kids at that age, it's really fun. I didn't tell you this. My daughter goes to Montessori, so she's in a kindergarten class, but she's in with 3 different ages, so it's preschool and kindergarten in the same class, and I love it. I think it's so great because they get to be, there's 8 of each. So there's 8 5-year-olds, 8 4-year-olds, and 8 3-year-olds. That's how they start the year, 24 kids. And of course, by the end of the year, they're all 4, 5, and 6-year-old. But so she's in the 3rd year of this class right now. And basically the teacher teaches the 8 older kids. And the 8 older kids, their job is to teach everything to the little kids. So we're going to this birthday party today for one of the kids who's turning 4. So my daughter's turned 6. This girl's turning 4. And I was like, you want to go to this? My daughter's like, yeah, I help her tie her shoes every single day. Of course, Dad. Like, it's like her little buddy, but it's like her little mentee, she loves
yes, I'm sure she loves it. Being a little mother hen, they love to help out as much as they can.
It's the best. Hey, good seeing you, and I will talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right.